G'day guys, and welcome back to the second video of my 88 temples around Shikoku pilgrimage. In the last couple of days I've received my last two packages that I needed to complete the setup for my bike, and this video is all about the last bits and bobs that are on the bike and what's in the bags. So thanks for joining me, and let's get into it. Alright guys, this is my fully loaded BMC road machine. So last week's video we touched on quite a lot in terms of what's the bags and their specific uses. This one's going to be about what's in them. As you can see over here, let's just run around the bike externally quickly and just show you what I've added. So here I have added my tent poles and tent pegs are in this bag on the fork of the tail fin. I purchased a really cheap plastic bottle cage from Big W, cable tied it to the carbon leg of the tail fin and sort of cut the middle, cable tied it to sort of give it the roughly the same diameter as the pegs, and then use these TPU straps from Cedar Summit. And what they are, they're sort of like friction straps. They attach around and in front, and then when you pull the end of it tighter, it sort of pinches everything really tight. So that came up with that little idea yesterday. I'm not sure if anybody else has done that, but it's unreal. I love it. Obviously got the radar at the back, the grunt straps from Bunnings. What I've got here in this little box here, this little box is all my spares. So all the spares are there, it's a bottle cage, and what it does, it also helps support the bottom of this bag because there's a 2-litre water bladder in here that when fully loaded, obviously 2 kilos roughly, and then all the bits and bobs, that'll just stop the extra weight from the straps, and that is what that bottle will do. So that is all my spares. So that's on there. We come around to the front of the bike and we have the front roll bag. So what we got here is the hose from my bladder. So if I want to have a drink, pull it out, lift it up, and what you got, they're on lanyards. So what this allows me to do, have a sip, pull it up to my mouth, it finds its own spot, like it doesn't dangle and get caught in the tire. So that just finds its spot, and then I'll just tuck, sorry my arm's in the way, I'll just tuck this back under the handlebars and it's nice and neat. So that simple solution, straight down, no fuss, all good. If I want to get into this bag, because it's on the lanyards, just pull them off. That'll come off, this will come down. Tuck that out of the way. And then underneath, I have my tripod. So the tripod, lots of clearance under the tire, this elastic bungee underneath. So that's all good. That's all good there. So that's externally all about it that I have added to the bike. Oh, and the other thing that I didn't mention last week is that I'm running 160mm rotors, front and rear. So the 160mm rotors allows me stopping power, and with the weight of this bike, which I will give to you towards the end of the video, I ran my previous bikes with 140 at the front and 160 at the back, or maybe the other way around. And with having 160 front and back, the stopping power, noticeably different. So that is what is externally new on the bike from last week's video. Bags, let's start with the front. So obviously you saw the first part of the video, we've got the hose attached to the front. What I didn't mention on the sides that I do have is 3 drone batteries. These 3 drone batteries obviously will be fully charged, and I can charge these on the go. Now the charger is in this, so obviously lanyards come down, hose comes away. In the front bag, I have a gilet. The gilet itself will just take up the space. Let's actually remove this helmet. Let's remove the helmet and sunnies. So the gilet takes up the loose space that is within the bag. There's just something to clean the camera. For the sound, what I'm using sound-wise, I've got a DJI mic mini. One is on me, it's actually under my clothes, and the receiver is plugged into the phone. So that is there, and inside here, actually I'll just mention, is a second mic. So anybody else that wants to join me or I meet along the way, wants to ride for a bit, I can give them another mic, we can have conversations and you'll be able to hear the audio, which is a good thing, good portable microphone. And then I've got my dry bag inside this Toe Peak bag, because as I mentioned last week, if you watched last week's video, that this Toe Peak bag is a 4 litre, but it is not waterproof, it's just water resistant. Here's my waterproof lightweight Cedar Summit bag. In this bag, I've got a spare head unit, spare Karoo, a battery bank. This is for the drone batteries, so you can fit 2 in here, you can charge 2 at a time. And then what I've got is you get the rubber O-rings you get with your Garmin's and whatever, and other things you have for attaching to your handlebars. 2 batteries will go in, the rubber O-ring over the top, that stops them from bouncing out. And then I would plug USB-C, USB-C into that, and then into a battery bank. So this battery bank is a 10,000 milliamp hour. I'm gonna pick up a 20, because it's just more power for obviously for when I'm camping out at night. Obviously I've got to charge this as well, being the microphone. I've got a couple of cables, one phone cable for campsite and another 2. These are USB-C cables. So that's those cables. So at night, like everything on the bike is actually gonna stay on the bike. I'm not removing anything. The tail fin stays on there. Top tube bag, I'm not removing anything at night time. I just remove what I need. And this dry bag is perfect, because I just pull this out of the front bag and it just comes with me in the tent. So this is a type A to type C, because I've got a 100 watt, 100 amp or 100 something charger. So it puts out 67 watts on the USB-C sides and 20 at that. So that's sort of like a fast charger. So I've got options, type A to type C or just C's. And then I've got the old style charge for the Varia. And then a spare mounting thing for the Go-To if it breaks. Because that is in my back pocket, which I will probably leave in the front bag. That is just a mouth mount, Go-To, B-roll. That will be just like that. So that's pretty much what's everything in the, and then I've got lube. I use a wax-based lube. This is Squirt Lube. I use wax-based because if I can, I'll be able to remove my chain at any point. If I stay in a hotel, I'll be able to just take the chain off, put it in the sink, run it under hot water, and the hot water just melts the wax off the chain. Where if it's oil-based, it just stays on there, it collects the grime. Hot water you can get rid of 95% of the external mess, and then you just wipe it clean and just reapply. So you probably do that maybe once or twice a week, depending on the conditions. So Squirt Lube I use. On the other side is actually where I keep the Go-To. This thing's not waterproof either, so obviously if it starts raining, this will go in the bag. Comes with ND filters, and that's good for B-roll. This camera fits inside that mouthpiece, so I can still got my hands to control, and then I can still record while on the bike. So that's a different perspective. So that is everything in the front bag. Alrighty, now we're onto the top tube bag. The top tube bag houses the drone. The drone is an AI, it's an AI drone. It's 4K, it's called the Hover X1 Pro, goes about 42k an hour and films at 4K. I love this thing. It's going to allow me to film the way I want and capture the landscapes and as you've seen with the intros that I've done so far, just having it gives you flexibility. You can record and you can still ride, and you know, this paired up with microphones, like, you know, you'll be able to give a different perspective on travel. And I wish I had this 5 or 6 years ago when I was traveling with my wife. So yeah, it's unreal. So glad I have it. A battery in here, which is on charge. And then what else is in here? SD cards. So 95% of the filming I'll be doing on this pilgrimage will be done via the phone. So the phone is only an iPhone 13 Pro, maybe? I don't know, it's an iPhone 13. So with that phone, obviously all the footage will be taken up with the filming. So what I've got is an SD card reader. At the end of every day, I'll plug the reader in, transfer all the footage, all the files from the phone onto SD cards. So I had a friend who said to me, rather get 4 or 5 SD cards that are slightly smaller in size, so you don't in case something goes wrong, you don't lose all your footage. So what I've done is I've got two 128 gig SD cards and two 64, and I got one 256. So for me, I think that should be plenty for the amount of filming that I will be doing. And I think inside the hover as well takes an SD card, and I think there's like a 64 gig in there as well. So everything that I will be filming with that camera, with the phone and the drone, they're all just stored on SD cards, and small, compact. Just don't lose this, Lloyd, and you'll be fine. And what else do I have in here? And I think that's about it. And I've got my bank card. So in here, and pretty much with the rest of the room in here will just be food, snacks, and whatnot. Okay, now we're on to the back of the bike. This here, as I mentioned at the start, I created, like, these are Cedar Summit straps. They're TPU straps. I created a bottle cage holder, which I've just cut, connected it via cable ties to the leg of the tail fin, and this has got my tent poles and my tent pegs. I tried taping it to strapping it to the top, but what I found was there's so much pressure in here, just trying to compress this bag, that I could end up bending the poles, and I didn't want to do that. Running these externally, it's something different. It worked out really, really well. So these TPU straps, they are sort of like a friction strap. They tie themselves around the actual leg, and then they cinch themselves tighter with the actual tail of the strap themselves. And the bottle cage, as I mentioned, just helps support the pegs, and it stops them from falling through. They'll just sit on there. So $5 from Big W, and a cut in the middle, just, you know, and cable tied them. They're roughly the same circumference as the poles themselves and the pegs. So that's just a make do thing for you. When you bike pack like this, you just got to find creative solutions to make things work, and just to make sure that your adventure is smooth. Like, just, yeah, it works. So back of the missed in here in the frame is my spares. So for me, I am running tubeless, and what I've got here is just my spares container. So with the spares container, get this out of the way. Not heavy. I think this weighs maybe half a kilo. I've got in here, which I'll probably leave in my bike bag when I get to Japan, is brake blocks. So brake blocks. You got two of them. One goes inside each caliper to keep the pistons apart. So obviously during travel, they don't get compressed. So that'll stay in the bike bag. They won't come with me on the journey, but they're just in here. I've got a really, really small chain breaker. So that chain breaker is in here in case something happens to the chain. I've got 3 TPU. Some kid going absolutely mental. I've got 2 CO2 canisters. Actually, I have 3. I'll go through the stuff in my bag as well. That's on my bum bag here. So I've got 2 CO2 canisters. They will come with me. I have 3 of these pink TPU inner tubes. 2 more is actually underneath. There is a slight, in behind this bag, there is a slight gap of about, I'd say 30 mil, which runs out the back of this bag. So what I've done, I've filled in that space with 2 more of these TPU tubes, which I've stuck in a sunglasses protective case. So there's 2 of these in behind this bag. So that's just here. So I've got 3 of these in total. I've got a tire lever. I've got some tire boots in case I get a slash tire and I need to put a tube in, then I can actually put these tire boots inside. And I've just got, I think these came with some handlebar tape. They're very sturdy, like really, really tough. Rubber to also help. I'll get a close in up of this one. These are the dyno plugs in case I get a puncture and my initial plugging doesn't work, then I've actually got spares. So when it comes to the tires and them being tubeless, you want to keep them that way. You don't want to change your tires. So hence rather have lots of plugs and keep them in its tubeless form, because once you get to the point where you need to put a tube in, then you've sort of wrecked its capability of being able to self-seal. But obviously your inners are your last resort. So lots of plugs just in case. In my I've got here a valve extender. So this one I rock up to a service station, just say my pump underneath doesn't, just say I can't put any pressure in anymore, I can't inflate it. Then I've just got a valve extender which just screws on to the existing valve that's there. And I've got a valve core removal tool, which is just a little bit, runs over the valve core, because I do have a spare packet of muck off sealant, which I'll be taking with me. So that's in there as well. And then inside this little bag is a spare derailleur hanger. So this is probably the most important thing if you're gonna go bike packing in a foreign country, you're gonna go somewhere really remote and you say you have an accident and you land and you damage your bike. If you damage your rear derailleur and you can't shift gears, you're pretty much knackered. So I've always run with a spare rear derailleur hanger, and you might not ever use it. I've actually kept this one for about 5 or 6 years. This is the one I initially purchased when I bought this bike in 2019 as a spare, and I've still got it. Never needed to use it. It's pretty good that it's interchangeable between all BMC models. So my time machine runs the same one, and same as this exact same derailleur hanger. So that is probably the most important kit you need. I've got spare chain links. So I've only got one set. I'll bring one more set as well. So obviously, if I snap the chain, I can use the chain tool to break the links, replace the links, keep me on the road, keep going. So there is spare chain links, and probably as important as the rear mech hanger is I've got 60mm valve extenders. So what these valve extenders, because I'm running 60mm deep rims, if I blow through my TPU tubes, and I run through my, my tubes my tires that are set up tubeless, and then I run through all of my inner tubes, and then I need to purchase tubes and just say in the middle of nowhere, they don't have 80mm valves for deep rimmed wheels. As long as the tires or the inner tubes that I'm purchasing have removable valve cores, then I can create my own. And that is to safeguard myself from any mishaps that you can have. As long as you can keep yourself rolling and you can carry a spare pair of valve cores, extenders, then you're pretty much good. I know that what I have here in terms of, spares will definitely keep me going in a pinch, and I've also got backup solutions to my backup solutions, and I think that's what you need. You need to be very thorough in a way of keeping yourself, moving or on the road. So valve core extenders, crucial, especially if you're running deep rims. I don't think a lot of people think about, if you do run such deep rims, how are you going to keep yourself going? And that to me is one of the best little tips or whatever. So in the back, in here, in the back of the tail fin, so obviously these grunt straps, I got them from Bunnings. They're awesome. And I think with what people forget is that the tail fin is a compression sack in itself. So what you don't need to do is just say your tent comes or your sleeping bag comes in a compression sack. You don't need to bring the compression sack for your sleeping bag, because in a way, all you're doing is limiting yourself to that size, or not that size, that shape. Because if your compression sack for your sleeping bag puts your thing in a cylinder, then how does a cylinder really work within your bag? Your bag, the tail fin is its own compression sack. So I don't think that you need to bring any other type of, restrictive devices for your items. You just need to pack your tail fin really, really tight. So what I've got in here is spare pair of bibs, a pair of just lightweight shorts just for in the tent. This here is another neutral service item. It's actually a fleece lined jumper. Well, I don't think I've even mentioned that at the start of March is actually coming into spring. You're coming in towards the end of your winter sort of period. So it's actually going to be quite cold, going to be quite fresh. Hence why leg warmers, arm warmers, we need to layer up. So that's why I've got the fleece lined. I've got a spare pair of socks and another neutral service kit tee. So look at this, fresh for 2025. The boys have done well. Boys down in Melbourne, good job, thank you very much. I have sleeping bag. Now, as I said, your tail fin itself is its own compression sack. That is a 15, rated up to -15, this sleeping bag. And then also in here, I have folded up on itself is my 1-person tent. So 1-person tent, I will erect this for viewing purposes. That there is my 1-person tent. I've got a pillow, a Thermarest lightweight mat, my Di2 charger for my bike to keep it going because it is electric. And in the side pocket here, now you probably saw that within my tools, I didn't say I have a multi-tool because I don't use a multi-tool. I don't feel that you need a multi-tool. I've had some bad experiences in the past where a multi-tool has been more of a hindrance than anything else, because what you need is proper tools. You need longer tools, you need leverage. Multi-tools, you don't get that. It's like, I'd rather just take the chain breaker off the multi-tool because that's useful, but then use proper size Allen keys. Like these, I've got the proper square ends, and then it's got your rounded on your other ends. So I've got a 6 because the front axle is a 6. I've got a 4, 5, 3, 2.5, and 1, 2. Sorry, a 2.5 and a 2. So I've got 6 Allen keys, which you never even notice, but they're full size. They're in the pocket here, they're in the side, and they're just gold, absolute gold. I would not go back to a little multi-tool anytime soon. Full tools for Lloyd. All right, and in the frame bag, which I bypassed, leg warmers, crucial, arm warmers, just for layering, all these kits for layering. And then there's my wet jacket. This is a DHB waterproof jacket. Had it for about 5 or 6 years. Obviously this was in previous adventures hanging on the back of the bike, very discolored, but internal, you can fold it out of its stuff sack and it is bright as days. So that is good. And it also has got a hood and it's got multiple pockets for storing stuff. So that there, and the 2-litre water bladder. So this 2-litre water bladder is the same size as this part of the triangle. There's only got half a litre in there at the moment. I've been drinking this morning, and that is it. That's pretty much it. That's everything that is on my bike for this adventure. I'm not going to take that bladder out, but everything from your sleeping bag, sleeping mat, pillow, 1-man tent, tent poles, pegs, spares, proper tools, leg warmers, arm warmers, drone batteries, gilet, helmet is all got to come with me, and everything fits in here. The weight of the bike is, which I don't know if you've been hanging around for that, but the weight of the bike, I weighed myself this morning. I haven't weighed myself in probably about 1.5 years. I come in just under 80 kilo, and me holding the bike, we come up to 99.8, I think, kilos. So the bike itself and I left this morning with about 1 kilo, with about 1 litre of water, 99.8 kilos, so 98.9. So you're looking at what, 19 roughly for the bike in this. This is without food, and just obviously half a litre of water left. So, or 1 litre at the time. So that's pretty respectable for the amount of stuff that I'm taking. And this is pretty light. Like I don't think that I don't think I have things with me that I don't need. I'll be using absolutely everything if it comes to a pinch with all the spares. The sleeping bag, yes, it's going to be cold at times, especially when we get to elevation. So the layering of the arm warmers, the leg warmers, the jackets, I've got a fleece lined jumper and I've got a gilet. So, and I've got something waterproof to throw over the top, and then I've got shorts to sleep in. I think I've got everything pretty much covered. One other thing that I forgot is this saddlebag. So the saddlebag itself is, I get sidetracked. This saddlebag, it's an Osprey. It's a Savu 2. I've had it for about a month now. What it's got a pocket in the top here. This can actually, I can put like a can of Coke in here, some more drinks. But what I do, I actually fold up the gimbal and I put the gimbal in here. So it's actually quick, ready to deploy, and I can go and film, go and shoot. In here, what I carry is, number 1, passport. Passport is in here. A little quick, this is called a hip lock. Push the button, comes through, retracts itself. Just you know, like, yes, Japan is safe, but you still want to be safe. You just still want to be cautious. I know I'll be on and off the bike, in and out of temples, so I know gonna have to have a lock of some degree. Here is your third canister and the nozzle for it to shoot compressed air into your tires. This rides with me, as does the Dynaplug tool. So obviously your spares are tucked away as a last resort. What you need on you is to keep your tubeless. You don't want to convert them into tubes. So I've got Dynaplugs, and it's exactly what you saw. This holds 3 Dynaplugs. It's got an injector, it's got a barb. You push the barb in, you pull it out, and I will overlay B-roll of how it works. You insert it, you pull it out, it leaves a little tail. You cut the tail off, or I just leave it. It just sort of adds as extra protection, whatever. So your Dynaplug tool in here for quick deployment. Same with the CO2, but that's that. I've got a little flick knife. I don't know if I want to cut bread. I don't know. There's just a knife. You always need a knife when you're doing something outdoors. Also in here is, as I mentioned earlier, there's a 6mm Allen key. I've actually got a 6mm tiny one. This one is actually for your axles. It's really small. Keep it in the pouch. That means I don't have to mess around with the straps on the bag. What else have I got in here? I have got ND filters. So these neutral density filters, they're for the drone. So what they do, they're like sunglasses for your lenses, so you can actually have proper, you know, with your footage not being so glary in the background. I'm not too sure if this one is. I've got a pretty heavy filter on that at the moment, but it allows you just to adjust your settings on your phone and your cameras, and they sort of help out with contrasting in colors. So ND filters on the phone, the cameras. So they're ND filters, and I've got Cramp Fix. I used this stuff for the first time at the start of last year at the Indy Pack. I was hamstring cramps like within the first, like, I think it was like 8 hours, hot sun, climbing, lots of climbing with a heavy bike. I pulled out one of these Cramp Fix shots. I had it. Within 2 minutes, it was gone, and I rode the rest of the day without cramping again. So I'm like, now these things don't leave my side. Like, I know that I'm gonna exert myself. I know I'm gonna get tired. I'll be sweating a heap, and I know that these Cramp Fix shots, they come everywhere with me, and I'm taking probably a handful of them. I've only got 2 here. I've probably got another 6 at home. So they are crucial. And that is pretty much it. And I've got like a winner's caffeine gel in here. And that is literally all of my stuff. Like, from the hip pack serves its own purpose. Like, for me, I'm not having to, like, as I said in the previous video, is that when you bike pack or you bike tour, you like to stuff is make sure everything is safe, keep your passport in a secure location. But if it's on you and your money's on you, you don't have to rummage around in your bags. You just bag up, maybe lock it up, go get what you need from the shops, and you just got everything on you. Like, it's just, you might want to unclip your head unit, maybe take your head unit with you, but everything you need is on you. So I'm happy. Like, I can't be more pleased with the way the setup has gone. There's nothing here I would change. It seems pretty light. I don't know if a lot of people would carry this much stuff, but I know that the main purpose of all of this, of what I'm doing with this pilgrimage, is to film and get the best sort of, you know, the footage, and obviously try and make a documentary, like a novice documentary. There is 3 or 4 items that I don't have with me, which I'm going to have to pick up when I'm in Japan. One is the hat, and these Japanese names of these things of the pilgrim attire I should know. I've read them 4 or 5. I've read them countless times, but I just can't retain it. So there's the pilgrim hat. There's the pilgrim white top that you wear. There is your book, and then there's beads you can also carry, and then there's also a thing that goes around your neck. So, and there's the staff as well, which represents Kobo-dashi himself as him guiding you through this pilgrimage. So I don't know how I'm going to carry a staff. Maybe you know when you go to tourist shops, there's always a big and a small version of something. Like, let's hope that there's a smaller version of that staff, and then maybe I'll be able to find a way of carrying it. I might even be able to tape it onto the bike somehow. But yeah, there are a couple of other items which I don't have with me, which I am going to have to find a place on the bike at somehow. Like that aero, that helmet, I'm thinking, geez, could be aero, could put it over the top here, or I might just make it onto like a backpack or something. So to have it on my back, and when I get off the bike, I put it on my head. So that's it. So thanks guys, that is that video. That is this video with everything that is here. I hope you like the video. The next video will be packing up the bike, what I'm doing with my bike bag, how to pack it, and then what I do with my stuff in the transportation to getting to Japan. So thank you very much for joining me, and thanks for listening to me ramble again. You know, these videos aren't very quick when you sort of try to explain what everything is, but everything here has its purpose, and you'll probably see me use every single one of it. So thank you again for joining me in this one, and I'll look at you, or I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.